So, hello there and welcome to a new video. In this video, as you can tell from the title, I wanted to talk about some self-harm misconceptions that go on around in our society. So there are many stigma and stereotypes and misconceptions about mental illness, about every type of mental illness, and there's a lot of misconception around self-harm. So in this video I choose the 10, for me at least, most common misconceptions and I'm gonna break them down for you. So for this video, myself, I've struggled with self-harm for 6 years. Wow, that's a long time, oh my god. I was faced with all those stigma and stereotypes and I was bullied when I was about in the teenage years because of my self-harm, and I had to deal with so many negative reactions when I was younger, and I had good phases and bad phases, and now I'd say in the recovery phase. I did not self-harm for such a long time and I do not intend on doing it ever again. Before we start this video, I'm gonna put a trigger warning here. So if you still struggle with self-harming and the urge to self-harm, I'm asking you to leave this video now and click away from it, because hearing about self-harm or seeing pictures about it and yeah, all of that can trigger the emotions you have when you feel the need to self-harm, and this will most likely throw you back. So don't do it to yourself, don't watch it, please just leave this video now. Let's clear up the world about the 10 misconceptions of self-harm. Let's jump right in. The first most common misconception is they don't feel the same pain as other people do. This is so weird. Like, when I get like, blood tests, so they take blood out of my veins, or when I got the tattoo and all of that, my friends that know about my self-harm, or even my mom, is like, oh, it doesn't hurt you, I mean, look, you do worse things, or even my tattooist was like, oh, I mean, you've done worse things, so it shouldn't hurt you. Like, I am so pain sensible. I could scratch my finger on paper and I would cry because it hurts so much. There's no study, there's nothing that shows that people that do self-harm don't feel the same amount of pain like everyone else does. Like, we feel the pain, and trust me, self-harming, and I only did cutting and sometimes burning, self-harming hurts like hell. Yeah, it hurts. The second misconception is that people can just stop easily if they want to. Oh my god. How can people honestly believe that we could stop so easily doing self-harming? Like, why wouldn't we all just stop? Okay, guys. There are studies and research on self-harming. Self-harming is addictive. Addictive? Like, it gets people addicted to it, because it releases endorphins and hormones that make people feel good and makes them feel able to deal with their emotions. So this is what makes them addictive. Whenever they get in the situation, in the triggering situations, and they feel the bad triggers, the brain clicks and is like, if you do harm to yourself, the endorphins will release, you feel that feeling of release. So this is why people get addicted to it. Like, I can speak for myself. I had phases where I wanted to stop self-harming for years and years, and I hated it so much. Like, it was the worst thing for me, and every time after it happened to me that I slipped back to doing it again, I was just crying for weeks because I was like, oh my god, like, they are never gonna heal and now I have to wait for so long, and people, what if they see it, they will think I'll do it again and they are already red again, and like all of those bad feelings. But then there's situations where I spent like hours fighting with myself not to do it again. I was crying, I was wanting to scream, I was having the blade in my hand and I was like, no, 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 I can't do it, no, I don't want to do it. Oh god, I was miserable. And so no, people can't just stop if they want to. The third misconception is that only teenagers do it. For that, I can tell you that right now we have a patient on our station. The patient is a man in his 60s, and we just found plates in his room and he's self-harming currently. So no, not only teenagers do it. It is more likely between teenagers to do self-harm, but no, it's not only teenagers. There's loads and loads of adults that self-harm as well. People who self-harm just do it for attention. Oh my god, I can't even tell how often I've heard this. So let me tell you this. Yes, there are people that do self-harm for attention. So what? Like, even though there are people that do it for attention, they still need help. Because if someone does self-harm for attention, imagine how badly they need someone to recognize them. Like, imagine how they are like screaming to the world, please help me, I can deal with it. There exist people that do it for attention, and they just need equal help as people that try to hide their scars so much and hate them and are like, oh my god, I hate myself for my self-harm. There are people that don't do it at all for attention, that are ashamed of it. They try to hide it with every possible thing they can. So no, people just don't just do it for attention. Even if they do it for attention, they need help. The fifth misconception is that only female do self-harm. So I've looked this up on the internet, and it is said in studies that 30 to 40% of self-harmers are male. So it is more female that seem to do self-harm than male. But to this I have to say that around what I've recognized, I've seen more male people doing self-harm, and they deny it, or they don't, I think, wouldn't even count it as self-harm when they are like punching walls sometimes or biting themselves. So I'd say there's no difference between female and male people doing self-harm. Self-harm is just cutting. No. Self-harm is not just cutting. Cutting is a form of self-harm that many people choose, but there are so many different forms of self-harm. There is punching against walls, there's burning with, for example, cigarettes. There is biting themselves, ripping out hair. There are millions of different ways how people self-harm, so no, it's not just cutting. Self-harm is just a phase. Who can seriously believe that self-harm is just a phase? So like I said before, first of all, self-harm is addictive. People are addicted to hurting themselves to release feelings. I think self-harm could seem like a phase because people will eventually recover from it. But the way to recover is so hard. They need treatment and they need to work on the real issue that is the reason why they self-harm. Like, people don't just self-harm and that's the problem. People self-harm because they have such a hard time with dealing with their feelings and their emotional pain that is so overwhelming that like this is the way they found to release that stress and everything. So no, it's not just a phase. People that self-harm need help. People who self-harm are borderliners. No. Like, I think many people don't know what the borderline personality disorder really is. It's not their fault that they are not informed about it and that they don't really know it. But borderline is a personality disorder, and how do I say it? People that have the borderline personality disorder, they are very likely to self-harm themselves. This is just a very common characteristics between borderliners because they struggle a lot with their feelings, and yeah, so they're very likely to do self-harm to themselves. But people who do self-harm don't need to be a borderliner to do so. They don't need to have a borderline personality disorder. So no, this is like wrong, and I can see why this is a misconception around society, because we are just simply not informed enough. But no, this ninth point is mostly for cutting. So many people think that self-harm is a suicide attempt, and absolutely wrong. There's a huge difference between a suicide attempt and self-harm. Self-harming is for releasing the stress, the pain, the emotions. A suicide attempt is a suicide attempt. People try to end their life. Many people use, for example, cutting as a way to kill themselves. They try to cut open their wrists and bleed, or they use it while they are, for example, taking medication or whatever. But there's a difference. Someone who self-harms might not even be suicidal. People who self-harm, and this again is mostly for cutting, only do it on their wrists. Nope. I would never do it where it's so visible, and this counts for most people. Like, people who self-harm mostly are, I'd say, on the legs, or like here where no one can see it, on the feet, on like places where people don't usually see the scars. And many people cut their arms because it's just, I don't know, like, this sounds so weird, but like, it's a satisfying place to cut. And most people try to do it here and not here. And I'd say people who start cutting, they usually do it on here because they are scared, and here it's very sensible and it hurts way more, and it's very dangerous. It's like more dangerous than if you cut here. But yeah, people eventually will do it in places they can easily hide. Like, here is a place where you can easily hide it because like your arms are always like this, and people don't usually see it when you have it like there. Yeah, so no, it's not on the wrist. So those were my 10 misconceptions about self-harm. It was kind of hard filming this video due to my background story I have with self-harm. I'm recovering from it very well, and I have, like, I would say the past 2 years I've only done it like 3 to 4 times, and the episodes where I'm able to not do it are getting longer and longer, and now I'm like months and months clean, and I don't ever plan on slipping back into those habits again. I'm recovering from a lot of it, and I don't have the same emotional state that I had back then. But still, it's hard to talk about it because there's so much stigma around it, and like, I myself, I'm still very ashamed of my scars, and I hate them. I hate that I did that to myself, but I have to live with it. And yeah, I wanted to clear y'all up that self-harm, there's so many misconceptions, but in reality, it's such a struggle for people that self-harm. Believe me, I know it, and I know how devastating it is to have so many people around that just judge you if they see it eventually, and that try to hurt you with it and be so mean to you and are like, I was bullied for it. I want this to stop and to clear people up. So yeah, I hope you liked the video, and be sure to subscribe to my channel. My goal is to help people understand people with mental illness more, and also help people that struggle with mental illness themselves to feel better. So if you're interested in that, subscribe. So that's all I have to say. I wish you all an amazing day. Be happy and be safe.